Hey, Sens fans, thanks for watching the Senstennial podcast, a member of the Hockey Podcast Network. In today's video, you know what we're talking about. It's Claude Giroux reaching 1,000 career points in the NHL, and he did so after registering his first 2 points against the Carolina Hurricanes, but then topped it off with another point to reach 1,001 in his career in his 1100th game. Very cool. And or is it game 1099? You know what? We're rounding up. It's okay. And we're here to talk about it. Other Matt, I'll let you take it away. What did you think about that moment? And how cool was it that it happened while he was on the Ottawa Senators?
I feel like it's just one of those storybook bookends almost. I know he's still got plenty of career to play, but being from the Ottawa area, deciding making a huge decision to move on from the Flyers, get traded to Florida last year, and then in free agency coming to his literal hometown. Um, a lot of people were assuming he was going to regress, and he's sitting at 78 points this season. Had a career high in goals, and TSN analysts said he was washed and regressed and all this sort of stuff. And the guy has the most amazing 2 points of his entire career against the Carolina Hurricanes. And like the moment when he scored, it was just jubilation. And I said to Rebecca right before, I was like, when he gets his 1,000th point tonight, everybody is going to come off the bench. And she was like, well, what's special about that? I was like, nobody comes off the bench during a goal. Like it's just the five guys that go walk, punch some hands, and that's it. Everybody is going to come off the bench. And sure enough, everybody did. And it was so cool seeing Stützle like celebrate quickly with him and go get the puck. It was a very wholesome moment and like capped off by Tkachuk just waving the entire team over. It was awesome. It was so great to see his family in the stands for it too, and the building was rocking as you fellas know very well, and we beat the Hurricanes off of a Claude Giroux unreal backhand. So it was great.
Yeah, and funny enough, not only were Bennett and I both in the building, but we didn't realize that one another were seated, sorry, in the same section. We were both
What?
we were both in 216,
That's so
but
funny.
I was fortunate enough to be invited to a box suite by John and his partner, and that was amazing. And thank you, shout out to them for that. But yeah, Bennett was seated like a few rows ahead of me in 216, so it was really funny.
Did you throw
And
popcorn at him?
no, there were a few Carolina fans that were definitely like twice the size of me. And I feel like if I'd accidentally hit one of the guys rocking the Ron Francis jerseys, it wouldn't have gone so well for me. I don't know. Um, sure, the rest of the guys and girls in the box I was in would have thrown hands with me, but no, it was good. It was a lot of fun, and yeah, I got a great video that I posted to Twitter when everyone was clearing the bench. Or sorry, not video, photos. Yeah, I wasn't quick on the draw. Sorry. But yeah, some photos of everyone clearing the bench. And what I liked was Mad Sogard, his answer to the media after he said something along the lines of like, I wasn't sure if I was allowed to cross the red line, but I said, screw it. This is a really cool moment. And I love that. I mean, young goalie getting all excited, involved in the hype. And yeah, but anyway, Bennett, like I said, you were in the building as well. And what did you think about that moment?
Yeah, it was amazing. And, it's been a tough week because we saw the Sens, be finally mathematically eliminated from playoff contention. And although last week we discussed that it wasn't at the end of the world, that the team is still taking significant strides this year, it still stung a little bit. But to follow that up with just the amazing good vibes of seeing Giroux, cap off a stylish 3-point night with hitting that 1,001 point mark was really great to see in front of the home crowd. My wife was at the game with me. She's a little over 3.5 months pregnant, so perhaps a little bit more emotional than usual. A couple of tears were shed as she was wearing her brand new Giroux jersey, watching him put up that performance. But it was great to see. And you know what? I love the fact that Timmy and Brady were so happy for him. Like, they're the future of this team, and they've been learning so much from Giroux this season of how to be a leader, how to rock those face-off numbers, and how to get it done in this league. And to see how the two of them in particular were really pulling for their line mate. I mean, they were absolutely feeding him everything. Like, after he scored that first goal, they were just absolutely, like, they were going to the ends of the earth to try and get Giroux the puck. And in the end, it was Giroux that found Timmy, who buried it for that goal. And I saw that afterwards, Giroux, because you mentioned how Timmy peeled off immediately to go get the puck, for Giroux to have as a memento, and completely left Giroux hanging. Like, Giroux went over to like give him the high five, and Timmy just like nopes out of there to go get the puck. It was just far enough away too from like where they were standing that it was comical. Giroux said something to the effect after the game that he would have rather just left the puck waiting, and they wanted to celebrate together, and Timmy was like, no, get the puck now. That was funny.
What's up, Sens fans? From tee to green, the best place to go to get in on all the action happening on the links is DraftKings Sportsbook. This week, new customers will receive an odds boost to add plus 1,000 to any pre-tournament wager up to $10 on any golfer to win. So for example, if you're a new customer and you see a golfer to win the tournament at plus 1,000 odds, DraftKings will boost that golfer to plus 2,000 odds for your shot at a bigger payout. DraftKings will be featuring parlays and odds boosts all tournament long, so be sure to check the DraftKings Sportsbook app every day before the tournament starts to see what they have in store. The golf season is rapidly approaching, so why not fund your season by winning on DraftKings Sportsbook? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN and boost your odds during this weekend's tournament. That's code THPN only on the DraftKings Sportsbook.
Welcome back, everyone. If you're listening for the first time, then you can follow us on Twitter at Senstennial or Instagram at the Senstennial. Really appreciate you tuning in. What we want to talk about in the second half of this episode is how good Claude Giroux was this season. And this is actually now tied with his best goal scoring season, which I believe came when he was 30 years old and he had 34 goals and 68 assists. It was his best statistical season ever. And he has tied the goal scoring of that season with his 34 goals this season. So one game, he could potentially break that record. The boys got to feed him all night. Just make sure that he hits that 35 marker for the first time in his season, because that would be quite the feat to watch. So, and to have happen in what has already been a fantastic season for Claude Giroux. And so just touching on like the statistics part, obviously him getting 1,000 career points is great, but just for how he's played this season, like what have each of you guys thought about that? And we can kick things off with Benny here.
Yeah, well, Matt alluded to it earlier when he said that there'd been some doubts about what Giroux could possibly bring to the table when the Sens signed him this offseason. As Sens fans were thrilled. We knew we'd be getting a leader, a proven leader in this league. We'd be getting someone who brings a lot of intangibles. People were talking about, oh, he's good with the possession numbers, he's good at face-offs, and all of those things are true. He does have good possession numbers, and he is good at face-offs, but there's sort of like a tacit undercurrent to it all that he's 35. Don't expect too much from the point production standpoint. Maybe we're overpaying a little bit for a 50-point player, but it'll be worth it because he's a leader and he brings all this other stuff to the table. Giroux has been phenomenal this year, like way better than anyone expected him to be. Like you said before, he's got 78 points, 34 goals. He's having, not quite a career year because, of that one season he cracked 100 points, but he is having the best year he's had in years. And he has been turning back the clock while providing all of those intangibles that we've been looking for. And that top line of Stützle, Tkachuk, and Giroux that has sort of formed into our top line over the course of the season has at times been dominant. And, the chemistry of Giroux and his playmaking ability and his sort of like veteran nous with like the raw speed and skill of Timmy and sort of like the disruptive force of Brady. I mean, they complement each other so well, and I think even if he drops off a lot in the next 2 seasons, it's a 3-year deal, so he's not going to be here for he's not going to be on that kind of money for a long time. But even if he drops off in the next 2 seasons, I think Sens fan will still say it was a good deal and that he delivered on exactly what he went far above and beyond, in fact, what he was expected to deliver on. And if this season alone is, the best that we see of him, then it was absolutely a move worth making.
Yeah, I mean, Bennett really hit that home. It's a perfect situation for the Sens. It's a perfect situation for Giroux. He's looking to settle down for the rest of his life. And, a 3-year deal, I would not be surprised at the end of it turns into an extension for like 2 years. Because if he's putting up essentially an 80-point season as a 35-year-old, should we expect this next season? Probably not. But I don't imagine he's going to be falling off a cliff anytime soon. He still works out like a friggin' workhorse. He's still a leader in the room. He still has every intangible that you want for a hockey player, especially when they're going to be pushing for a cup in the next couple of years. And if Giroux inevitably falls out of our top 6, he's still going to be so useful going forward. But the thing that really stood out for me was at some points this season, Giroux was our best player. And that's not easy to say of a 35-year-old that isn't named Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin. Those are generational players. And I feel like Claude Giroux has been in the conversation with them for a very long time. And for a stretch, Giroux had the most points out of any of them. The generationalness of Ovechkin and Crosby caught up. But it's still so impressive that what he's been able to accomplish over his career. Seeing him come to Ottawa and just flourish on a line with, a young up and coming captain, Brady Tkachuk, who just eclipsed the 80-point mark for the first time in his career, and it will not be the last time. And then a superstar in the making in Tim Stützle, who is approaching 90 points. It would be a heck of a last game to achieve it, but everybody is betting the over on 100 points next season for the kid. And he's not even 21.
Well, he is 21, Matt. Come on.
Okay.
Get it together.
Sorry, the NHL, like Quack Stats or something, still has him listed as 20 years old.
No, so yeah, he turned 21 in January. But I love the sentiment. Yeah, like he could potentially be a 100-point player by the time he's 22, and that's absolutely absurd.
And to sort of put a bow on everything I'm saying is that he just seems like a cool guy. Like that's the best part of it all. He just seems like a guy you would love to go get a beer with because he's friggin' Claude Giroux.
Also, I think that he's just a really good role model for some of the players on the team. Last night, the guys on TSN 1200 were saying that Claude Giroux and Tim Stützle both stayed for quite some time after the game last night and were signing anybody, like autographs for anyone who stayed after the game, which is great. And, I do have a Stützle signature on my Jimmy Stu jersey, but I don't have a Claude Giroux signature. So that might have been nice to net, but it is what it is. I missed out, but for those fans who stayed there to get autographs, that's really cool. Really cool that Claude Giroux and Tim Stützle did that. That just speaks to me to his character and how much he really loves the fan base. I think everyone has really embraced him. We mentioned earlier that Ben and myself were at the game, and the applause when Claude Giroux first of all scored this 1,000th point, everyone in the stands knew it. Sometimes if you have more casual fans, they might not know until the PA announcer like actually says, "Hey, it's his 1,000th point." There was like no denying that the crowd knew. Everyone was freaking out. Huge applause. Of course, the PA announcer he draws it out, and everyone went nuts when they announced it. They do the montage. Claude Giroux waves at the crowd. Like everyone was going nuts for him. And of course, at the end of the game, he got the first star in the arena. And yeah, it was just really nice to see the reception. He's been a huge piece for this team. As you were saying, Matt, like the first line of him, Stützle, and Tkachuk has been absolutely dominant this season. And Claude Giroux is a big part of that. It's not like Tim Stützle and his almost 90 points is the only factor on that line. Like Claude Giroux this season was rocking Corsi 4 of 58%, which is huge. He had, where is it here? Oh my God, I got lost in the sauce. He had a huge year for takeaways. He had 52 takeaways and only 32 giveaways. That plus minus difference of 20 in his takeaways is huge, shows his defensive game is still very much there. Um, and the Hockey Viz analytics, which I won't bore anyone with, but also show that he's just a really phenomenal two-way player. And he's only gotten a third of his points on the power play. So he's been huge for Ottawa's 5-on-5 game. And hopefully they'll get that going into next season. But, as we mentioned, even if he regresses a bit, he is still a phenomenal player. He's still got the speed. He's still got the hands, the shot, creativity, everything. So you'll love to see it. And yeah, I think it's just huge that he's on the Senators. It's just wild to believe that Claude Giroux is an Ottawa Senator. And we got at least 2 more years of that. So looking forward to seeing how that plays out and what else he can bring to the table.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's not even mentioning his face-off percentage, which is also sitting at like 58.3% this year. No biggie, just winning almost 60% of his face-offs. Can't dismiss that. Hopefully, he can teach Jimmy how to win face-offs like he does, because that's the one thing. If you look at Stützle, that's the one thing that you could really be like, I hope Stützle improves at that, because everything else he is just way above and beyond, I think, what anyone really anticipated he would do this season. So, one more game left in the season. Let's hope Jimmy Stu can hit that 90-point mark. And unless you guys got something else to say, go Sens go.
Go Sens go.
Long may it continue.